It's real and it's happening. We are getting the Snyder Cut. It's happening. Somewhere, Angry Joe should be jumping up and down. I expect to see a video. I know Tyrone Magnus is super pumped. I'm super pumped because we've wanted this for so long. And no sponsor in this video, but before I get into that, I would ask that I did make a video this morning on an update on Susie Liu and a terrible thing that she did. I'm going to leave it linked in the pinned comment. No notification sent out for it, so I'm hoping that you'll check it out. Now, just announced during a live Q&A, it will be an entirely new thing. Zack Snyder's $20 million plus Justice League cut plans revealed. Now, if you don't know, let me give you a brief history of the Snyder Cut, because essentially Snyder had one vision for this film that ended, and the film itself was not good, in my opinion. He had to step away from the film. I don't remember exactly what it was, a family thing, I believe. And then they brought in Joss Whedon, and it's a mess. Snyder wanted it to be darker, which I want out of my DC world. You know, let Marvel have all the jokes. Get me the serious grit in DC. So if we look at, Collider's coverage of it, for the past few years, fans have been demanding the Snyder Cut. Justice League, the 2017 version of the DC superhero team film, had been refilmed and recut by Joss Whedon before the studio took it away from Whedon and kind of just made a new version that it didn't really appeal to anyone. It was a film that existed, and fans believed Zack Snyder's version would follow the vision he began with. Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition would be better. During a live commentary on Man of Steel, Zack Snyder revealed that the Justice League The Snyder Cut is coming to HBO Max in 2021. Why not now? Why a whole nother year? Setting aside the irony that the news of Snyder working on the new cut right now means that there never was a Snyder Cut to release, we need a common understanding on how the film production works on a blockbuster project. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a Snyder Cut never existed. Maybe it wasn't ready, but maybe he had a cut out there somewhere. Some released the Snyder Cut adherents, to have labored under the belief that there was some perfect version locked away in a vault and that Warner Brothers wasn't releasing it for reasons. Even a more charitable reading, that an assembly cut that required video effects doesn't really tell the full story behind what happened here and has to happen for the new version. The way the production on the typical big budget movie works was that it was supposed to happen on Justice League is that the director makes his or her movie. The executives keep tabs on the project through the dailies and either give notes or let the filmmaker continue working unabated. Once photography wraps, the filmmaker comes up with an assembly cut, a very rough version cobbled together by an editor. It's like a rough draft of what a movie will be. It has no finished effects, nor have the director and editor started sculpting the flow of the movie, making necessary edits, and more importantly, deciding where they might need reshoots. From there, they cut things down and start making tweaks while video graphics crew prioritizes scenes, usually from previs set pieces that will almost certainly be the final cut. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Snyder originally had a cut that ran about 4 hours. Even though he knew Warner Brothers would never release a film of that length into theaters, he left the production after delivering a 140-minute rough cut to the studio. So, to me, there actually is a Snyder Cut. And, hilariously, people who have wanted the Snyder Cut for years have been mercilessly memed on by internet know-it-alls. It's there, it exists, and it's coming. Warner's wanted a cut in the 2-hour range. He delivered a rough version with approximately 2 hours and 20-minute running time. That was the first cut of the studios that they saw. Both sides agreed that there was still too much work to be done before the November release, but bad tragedy struck the Snyders when their daughter Autumn died by, self-deletion. Okay, well, that explains it. Now we've learned that Snyder is assembling his post-production crew and will have reportedly $20 to $30 million to handle post-production work. but being able to finish video effects and working with the original actors to do ADR is not the same as what happens with a traditional blockbuster. Under normal circumstances, Snyder would have had room to do pickups, plan reshoots, to get the material he needed to finish the film. He wouldn't have had that for the Snyder Cut. Ben Affleck is not putting on the Batsuit again and going down to the soundstage to do new scenes. So reshoots are out, or if they happen, they will be extremely limited as opposed to how they were budgeted and scheduled with the original production. What's left is trying to get as close to Snyder's original vision with one hand tied behind his back. It's certainly possible with video graphics and ADR, but this notion is that what Snyder intended back during filming was probably not possible. Snyder has the footage that he shot, a post-production crew, video effects, artists, and maybe cast some members recording some new dialogue or doing some close-ups on a green screen. And even close-ups may be a stretch given scheduling, costuming, and makeup. This would be possible to do a digital face replacement, but this can be expensive. With $30 million sounds like a lot, video effects is incredibly costly, and keep in mind that people such as sound engineers and the composer will be working on the new cut post-production, and everyone has to get paid. Well, as poorly as you're painting, they're really setting a low bar. Collider is really setting a low bar on this, aren't they? But Hollywood Reporter says it will be an entirely new thing. Zack Snyder's $20 million plus Justice League cut plans revealed. HBO Max will debut the project in 2021, possibly in a 4-hour director's cut or 6 TV-style chapters. Let me be very clear. I don't want chapters. I don't want chapters, but I'm sure that's what they're going to do. More money makes you tune in more. If the episode cuts are seamless and I can watch all 6 immediately, fine, I guess. I don't know. As the Helmer gets the gang back together with the original post-production crew to score, cut, and finish the video effects. It was very early Monday morning in November when director Zack Snyder and his wife and producing partner Deborah Snyder received a call from their agent. Let's be a bit more precise. It was 7 a.m. But more importantly, it was the day after the 2nd anniversary of the release of Justice League, the DC superhero movie that Snyder was forced to exit due to a family emergency, which was then substantially reshot and retooled by replacement director Joss Whedon. In the time since, something unusual has happened. A growing movement of fans rallied behind the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut, had called, agitated, petitioned, even bought a Times Square billboard and chartered a plane to fly a banner over Comic-Con for Snyder's version to be released. And on the film's 2nd anniversary, the hashtag had its biggest day ever. Even movie stars Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck adding their voices on Twitter. So here, the morning after, was their agent, chairman of Warner Brothers Pictures, was acknowledging the movement and more importantly was willing to accede. This is real. People out there want it. Would you guys ever consider doing something? What was he asking? Zack Snyder recalls. The answer to his question, a whispered about secret for months, was revealed Wednesday when Zack Snyder confirmed at the end of an online screening of his 2013 Man of Steel, great movie by the way, that his version of Justice League was indeed real and that it would be coming to HBO Max. The Warner Media digital streaming service launched May 27th and is expected to debut in 2021. It's currently unclear what form the Snyder Justice League will take. Whether it will be released in an almost 4-hour director's cut or split into 6 chapters has yet to be decided, but the Snyders are now in the midst of reassembling much of their original post-production crew to score, cut, add new, and finish old visual effects, and yes, maybe bring back many of the actors to record additional dialogue. Also unclear is the cost of the endeavor. One source pegged the effort in a $20 million range, although another source says that the figure could be closer to $30 million. The parties have had no comment. Quote, it will be an entirely new thing, and especially talking to those who have seen the released movie, a new experience apart from that movie. Zack Snyder tells a Hollywood Reporter, noting that to this day, he has not watched the version released in theaters. You probably saw 1/4 of what I did, the director notes, basing his judgment on what had been shared with him of Whedon's version. Before Emmerich came calling at Snyder, I always thought it was a thing that in 20 years, maybe somebody would do a documentary and I could lend them the footage, little snippets of a cut no one has ever seen. But then Deborah Snyder, with the new platform and streaming services, you can have something like this. You can't release something like this theatrically. Well, why not? I think you could. I'd go see it in the theater, but you could do it with a streaming service, and it's an opportunity that wasn't there 2 years ago, to be honest. It's very unlikely development and the latest twist for the movie that has, like, the Man of Steel himself, seen death and rebirth. Snyder was in a unique position when he made the Justice League back in 2016. Warner Brothers has entrusted its universe of DC characters to one filmmaker, him, and he had been building toward a great on-screen team-up, though not with some bumps in the roads. We began with Man of Steel with gross $668 million, then followed up with Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, the 2016 blockbuster that polarized fans with his dark take on the iconic heroes and took it $873 million. Oh my God. It's happening. It's happening. I'm very, very excited for fans of the who have, you know, stuck with releasing the Snyder Cut. The fandom has, you know, I'm trying to bring up Zack Snyder's Twitter because I know he tweeted something about it, and I thought it would be pretty spicy to bring up. You know, it's been an interesting thing, you know, to see the Snyder Cut, to see all of the happiness. If we look at, actually, I want to bring up release the Snyder Cut. Let's go here. So, if we look at Zack Snyder's Justice League 2021, 38,000 likes. Congratulations to Release the Snyder Cut fans. I envy you today because I wish I liked these movies. Please roast the heck out of the blue checkmark brigade that trashed the existence of this film. Zack Snyder's Justice League details, 4-hour cut, 6 chapters, $20 to $30 million budget. I mean, Zack Snyder himself tweeting out Zack Snyder's Justice League. Here it is. Here it is. Right here. This is real. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. 1 hour ago. 45,000 likes. 17,000 retweets. Thank you, HBO Max, for making this happen. Thank you, Zack Snyder, for cashing a gigantic check to do. But more importantly, this is a huge win for the fans. So you know what's going to happen now. You know now that the fans got something, the blue check marks will be coming. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.